Hello there friends, and welcome to my 7th weekly Final Fantasy news update this week in Final Fantasy. I'm currently suffering from the affliction known as man flu, so if I sound a little bit disgusting then that would be why. But it's been a pretty exciting week for Final Fantasy, so let's just get stuck in. So first off, as part of Final Fantasy's 30-year anniversary, there are currently sales going on pretty much every digital platform. So that's the Square Enix Store, Steam, the PlayStation Store, the Nintendo eShop, the Google Play Store, and the iOS App Store as well. These sales last until different dates. The Steam one, for example, ends tomorrow, whereas the PlayStation Store sale ends on Wednesday. They all end relatively soon, so if there is an older Final Fantasy game that you want to get hold of, then you'd best get in there quick. Now onto some big old news from Final Fantasy XIV. The final fan festival before Stormblood took place this weekend in Frankfurt, and there's been plenty of juicy news. First off, the Keynote, which was at the start of the ceremony, began with the full cinematic trailer for the Stormblood expansion, which revealed that not only will the players be travelling to and liberating Alamigo, but also the far eastern lands of Othgard, which is home to Doma. Along with this, a samurai was showcased fighting with some Guardians, and soon after, samurai was confirmed as the second and final job for Stormblood alongside Red Mage. Now this took me by surprise because it's basically like a second part to the expansion, and there hadn't really been any hints about it being in Stormblood prior to yesterday, so it's pretty exciting. I guess they kept it a secret for two reasons really. First off, the fans' excitement at the surprise announcement was pretty incredible, but also if they had mentioned that we'd be going to Doma, then that really would have solidified Samurai as a job in this expansion, so that would lose the surprise there as well. Aside from that, we heard about another new beast tribe, the Kojin, with their primal Susanoo, who looks a little bit like King Forden to me. We've got a few glimpses at new maps, new dungeons, there's a ghost ship, and a new Eastern-themed residential area as well. Now I was firmly in Camp Blue Mage for the second job, so Samurai doesn't excite me too much, but the eventual liberation of Doma has got me pretty hyped. We also received some new information during the live letter that took place at the FanFest. It was revealed that there is a PS4 Pro patch imminent, which should aim to increase the experience of players on the Pro. We were also given a date for the patch 3.55a, which is not the patch that will contain the final segment of Story for Heavensward. Expect that mid to late March. This patch will include the final portion of the Anima Weapon Quest line, presumably a nerf to the Umbright stage that was previously mentioned too. Zloe Aleapo will also be introduced, which seems to me to be a crafting and gathering version of Wondrous Tales. There will also be a proto-ultimate boss battle, which I guess will be the one that players get to experience at the fan festivals. So that would be a 24-man trial, the first of its kind, but they refuse to talk about how to even access it. So players aren't even going to be told how to trigger their battle in the patch notes, so it's going to involve investigation from the players themselves. We will also see the introduction of new Feast PvP maps and some changes to how the game mode works as well. The third season of the Feast will also end and the fourth one will begin. Now, we were expecting the diadem to be reintroduced to this patch, but apparently there's been a bit of a snag in its development and will need a little bit longer to iron out, and that will come out in patch 3.55b in early March, but depending on how quickly they manage to finish it up, it may well be rolled into patch 3.56. Finally, and this is just a little bit strange, but Final Fantasy XIV has set 3 Guinness World Records, and these awards were presented at the Fan Festival. And they are for the longest credits in a video game, the most prolific RPG series, and the most original pieces of music in a video game. So it's been an exciting week for Final Fantasy XIV, with a lot to look forward to over the coming weeks, and even more to look forward to in June. Rightio, moving on, there's been a fair bit of news coming from Final Fantasy XV again this week, but the most interesting thing to me didn't actually come from Square, but rather from the players. So last week, an interesting post called Pitioss Ruins Revelations was put up on the Final Fantasy XV subreddit. It was posted by a user named Perona77, but behind the username is a husband and wife couple who play the game and theorize together. I'm going to try not to spoil the contents of the post because it's really worth a read through yourself, but essentially it explains the story of Pitioss, which until recently I thought had minimal relevance to the rest of the story. But the resulting theory pretty much flips the story of Final Fantasy XV on its head. It will change your perception of the protagonists, of the Astrals, and particularly of Ifrit, but it's a very convincing theory. It's been picked up by the go-to Final Fantasy 15 YouTuber, Final Fantasy Peasant, who gives his own take on it. It has an article written on Kotaku. It's been stickied on the Final Fantasy 15 subreddit, and it's just sparked a lot of activity in the Final Fantasy 15 community, and rightly so. It's well researched, well thought out, and beautifully written. I shall leave a link to the post and some related information in the description of the video. Right, so what else? The Moogle Chocobo Carnival is coming to an end, sad face, so if you haven't already finished that, then go do that now, so that you don't miss any eggs that you might need to use in the future. Also, what remains of the booster pack patch should be dropping on the 21st of February. The Magitech exosuit is obviously being redesigned, and presumably the rod and sword that go with it will be missing as well, but the rest of the patch, which includes an unlocking of the frame rate up to 60 FPS, a new level cap of 120, new time limited hunts, an increase in photo capacity, and a greater selection of music tracks for the MP3 and car radio. Finally, somehow Final Fantasy 15 is going even deeper down the collaboration rabbit hole with Cup Noodles. I think it was last week that I mentioned the Cup Noodle boss collaboration, where you can buy a special set of noodles with the main antagonist from each of the games as the artwork for the cup. Well, if you do buy the entire set, you will receive a code that can be used in-game where Noctis can wear a cup noodle on his head. Why? I have no idea. The promotion is only available in Japan, but it would be possible to import it if you really want it. It's incredibly strange, but if the producers of Cup Noodle, Nissin, helped to alleviate the costs of developing Final Fantasy 15, what do we care? Next up, there's a little bit of information for the Final Fantasy 7 Remake from the Magic event in Monaco. This week we saw a couple of new screenshots of in-game footage, taking a look at the iconic first boss of the game, Guard Scorpion. I'm sure we're all pretty familiar with the scene by now. Nomura also gave a couple of little tidbits about combat, saying it's being designed so that players can play without interruption, though I'm kind of unsure what that means. And also that the players will be able to, at least in part, interact with their environment. Not a huge amount of new information, but you know, it is something. Right, let's move on to the mobile portion of the Final Fantasy universe now, once again starting with Mobius. So we've got the Final Fantasy VII Remake event going on right now, where you can pull for time limited ability cards, the legendary job Soldier First class, and now the Aerith ability card is available as a rare bonus for the greater ability Summon. Now, this ability has only recently been released in the Japanese version of the game, and right now is seriously miles better than pretty much every other ability card in the game, barring maybe Minwu. It was a strange decision to put such a strong ability into the game so early, in my opinion, and I'm not really keen on the effect this will have on people's ability to climb the towers, where people who have Aerith or Minwu pulled will have a significant advantage over everyone else, and if they have both through luck or whaling, they essentially get a free ride up to the top. Aside from that, the second part of the event was made available on the 14th of February, which made the Aerith attire available for Echo, and the final portion of the event will unlock on the 21st, so please look forward to it. There's also the mass summon ticket / Grow Star giveaway for logging in, which should be ending this week, so make sure that you're at the very least opening the game up daily. Onwards to Record Keeper then, and it's been a literal mithril shower over there during their 2nd anniversary celebrations, which are going to be going on for a while. Aside from that, we should see the end of the Final Fantasy I Dawn of a Legend event in the next few hours. We have the Final Fantasy VIII Cutting Winds Soaring Lightning event running up until this time next week, and we should also see the beginning of the Final Fantasy XII Blood Rain event in the next few days. On top of this, the Torment dungeons will close up soon, and the Nightmare dungeon to acquire the Omega Drive ability will open up on the 21st. Fairly standard week, but definitely make sure you're logging in each day to get that sweet, sweet mithril. And finally, let's just take a little look at what's been going on Brave Exvius. The Valentine's dungeon has ended, but the summon banner is still hanging around for a couple of days. Other than that, the Final Fantasy II exploration event, the Dreadnought, has begun and will last up until the 3rd of March. Alongside this, Firion is now able to reach 6 stars, Maria is able to reach 5 stars, the Emperor has been released with a cap of 6 stars, and Guy and Leon are also available at a cap of 5 stars. So all good stuff here. And that is pretty much it for this week in Final Fantasy. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, you can let me know via a like, comment or subscribe. As always guys, thank you for watching, and I shall see you in the next one.